turn to politics now. And could this be the first step towards health care reform? It is an 850-page bill drafted by House Democrats, backed by the president, that promises to cover 95% of Americans with health insurance. But what is not in here is a price tag, and that is creating all sorts of interesting fireworks on Capitol Hill. For the bottom line now, let's bring in our chief Washington correspondent, host of This Week, George Stephanopoulos. You got your copy of this, George, right?
I do, and I was searching hard for that price tag as well.
Yeah, a little night table.
It's going to be a couple of weeks before we get that.
Well, this is obviously the key here, but President Obama, when asked what he wants for Father's Day, is comprehensive health care reform. What are the chances he'll get that by next Father's Day, given this?
That is a very good question. It was a very complicated week for the president on health care. On the one hand, he points to what Ron talked about in the news broadcast, the fact that the pharmaceutical industry has come forward with this $80 billion plan to help on prescription drugs, the fact that the American Association of Retired Persons has come on and endorsed the plan and could have a bigger endorsement later this week, the fact that there's a consensus on controlling costs in Medicare, and that bill you just held up a couple minutes ago. On the other hand, the Congressional Budget Office this week really hit the two draft Senate bills very, very hard, saying one of them would cost $1 trillion and only cover a third of the uninsured. The other would cost $1.6 trillion. So that sent the Senate committees back to the drawing board to get that price tag down, and that's why the House did not release a price tag, because it's likely to be far more than $1 trillion. They know that could cause some sticker shock.
Well, I have to ask about the other major news going on of what's happening in Iran. What do you make of the president's response, his statements on this violence there? Has to be very careful, obviously.
Careful, cautious, but the president had his strongest statement yet yesterday when he called on the Iranian government to stop the violence. Clearly also suggested very clearly that those protesters you see there are now on the side of justice, and whether to use that word justice was hotly debated inside the administration. The president raising the pressure right now, in part responding to pressure here at home to take a stronger stance. But administration officials I talk to right now are quite honest. They say they have no real idea how this is all going to turn out in Iran, what it means for the president's policy of engagement, or how much trouble the supreme leader over there is really in.